Just sit on it, don't worry, the rancher told her. Then she finally saw what she was sitting on. Emily had never been to a ranch before. The city had always been her home, with its tall buildings, honking cars, and endless crowds. The thought of leaving all that behind to visit a quiet, open ranch made her nervous. She had agreed to this trip mostly because she wanted a break from her busy life. But as the car drove further into the countryside, she began to question her decision. The road stretched like a ribbon through fields of golden grass, dotted with grazing cows and horses. The smell of fresh earth and hay was strange but not unpleasant, and Emily couldn't help but feel a tiny spark of curiosity. When the car finally stopped in front of a wide wooden gate, Emily took a deep breath. The ranch looked exactly like she had imagined it from pictures. A big red barn with white trim, a wide porch that ran across the front of the house, and rolling hills in every direction. There were animals everywhere. Cows chewing lazily in the fields, chickens pecking at the ground, and a group of horses trotting gracefully near a corral. It was quiet in a way that made her ears feel strange at first, like the world had slowed down just for this place. Emily stepped out of the car and felt the crunch of gravel under her shoes. She clutched her bag tightly, suddenly unsure of what she was supposed to do. That's when she saw him, the rancher. He was an older man, probably in his late 60s, with a wide-brimmed hat, sun-kissed skin, and gentle eyes that seemed to notice everything. He leaned on a wooden fence, watching her with a soft smile. "Welcome to my ranch," he said, his voice calm and steady. "You must be Emily." Emily nodded, her nervousness showing in the way she fumbled with her bag. "Yes, thank you for having me." The rancher tipped his hat slightly and gestured for her to follow him toward the barn. "Don't worry," he said. "I'll show you around. You'll get the hang of things soon enough."
As they walked, Emily tried to take it all in.
The barn smelled of straw and animals, warm and comforting in a way she had never expected. Sunlight streamed through the high windows, casting stripes of light across the wooden floor. She could hear the soft lowing of cows and the occasional cluck of a chicken. Everything seemed alive, and yet peaceful. "First things first," the rancher said. "Let me show you where you'll be spending most of your time today." He led her to a small shed behind the barn. There was a pile of hay in one corner, buckets lined up neatly, and a tarp covering something large and round. Emily's eyes went immediately to the tarp. "What's that under there?" she asked, pointing. The rancher chuckled softly. "Ah, that," he said. "You'll see soon enough. Don't worry about it." Emily frowned but didn't press the question. There was something about the way he said it that made her feel like she wasn't supposed to know just yet. She shrugged, deciding to focus on the rest of the barn. The rancher handed her a pair of gloves. "We'll start simple," he said. "First, feed the chickens. It's easy, and it will give you a feel for the place." Emily followed him outside, her steps hesitant on the soft dirt. The chickens scattered at first, clucking and flapping their wings, but soon they gathered around her as she sprinkled feed on the ground. She laughed quietly at their eagerness. They were so small, yet so determined, pecking at every grain. For a moment, Emily forgot her nervousness and simply watched. "You're a natural," the rancher said from behind her.
Emily jumped slightly. She hadn't realized he was watching.
"Thank you," she said, smiling shyly. They spent the morning doing small tasks. Emily helped collect eggs, which was trickier than she expected because the chickens sometimes ran off when she approached their nests. She cleaned up the feeding area, learning to move slowly and carefully so the animals wouldn't get scared. With each task, Emily felt herself relaxing. The rancher gave instructions with patience and humor, never rushing, never raising his voice. By noon, Emily was sweating lightly under the sun, but she didn't mind. The ranch had a rhythm, a natural flow that made sense once she started to notice it. The rancher called her over to the hay pile behind the barn. "Take a break," he said. "Sit down for a moment." Emily looked at the pile, then at the tarp. She hesitated.
"On that?"
she asked nervously. "Just sit on it," he said with a smile. "Don't worry, you'll see why soon enough." Emily's heart skipped a beat. She didn't want to sit on something unknown. What if it was uncomfortable, or heavy, or something worse? But the rancher's calm tone and gentle eyes gave her courage. She took a deep breath and lowered herself onto the tarp. For a few moments, nothing happened. Emily shifted slightly, her curiosity growing. She could feel something soft underneath, and she laughed nervously. "It feels strange," she said. The rancher chuckled. "Patience," he said. "All will be revealed in time." Emily relaxed slightly, letting herself sink into the warmth of the hay beneath. She looked around at the rolling hills, the barn, and the animals moving peacefully in the distance. She realized she hadn't felt this calm in years. The city, with its endless noise and rush, seemed like a different world entirely. As she sat there, Emily couldn't help but notice the beauty of the ranch. The way the sunlight lit up the grass, the soft sounds of the animals, the gentle breeze that carried the scent of hay and earth. It was all new, yet strangely comforting. She felt like she was stepping into a story she had only read about in books, a place where time slowed down and small moments mattered. She glanced at the rancher again. He was watching her, smiling knowingly. Emily wondered what he meant when he said she would see soon enough. The suspense made her heart beat a little faster, but she didn't mind. There was a sense of anticipation, a feeling that something unexpected, yet wonderful, was about to happen. The rancher went back to his work, giving her space to sit and observe. Emily closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face, the gentle movement of the hay beneath her, and the soft sounds of the animals. She realized that, for the first time in a long while, she was truly present. Minutes passed, and Emily began to notice the small details. The way the chickens moved around, the faint rustle of leaves in the wind, the smell of the earth and hay mixing together. She felt connected to something larger than herself, something calm and enduring. The rancher had been right. Sometimes you just needed to be still to notice the world around you. And as she sat there, Emily felt a spark of excitement mixed with curiosity. She didn't know what she was sitting on yet, but she trusted that the answer would come, and when it did, it would be worth the wait. Emily stayed seated on the tarp for a few more minutes, her curiosity growing with every passing second. The ranch was quiet now, the animals settled from their midday routines, and the warm sun made everything feel peaceful. She glanced down at the tarp again, wondering what could be hidden beneath it. It felt soft, almost alive, and she shifted slightly, trying not to hurt whatever was underneath. After a while, Mr. Harris returned from the barn carrying a small bucket of water. He set it down gently beside the tarp. "Drink some water if you like," he said.
It's a warm day.
Emily shook her head, still unsure of what to say. I'm okay," she mumbled, though her eyes never left the tarp. I'm wondering what's under here." "Mr. Harris chuckled softly, brushing a hand across his weathered hat. "You'll find out soon enough," he said. "It's something you wouldn't expect at first glance. That's part of the fun." Emily's curiosity bubbled up so strongly that she almost wanted to stand and peek, but something about the rancher's calm manner made her pause. There was a lesson in waiting here. She could feel it, though she wasn't sure what it was yet. So, she sat quietly, letting her mind wander while she observed the small world around her. From her position on the tarp, she could see the chickens scratching at the ground, the cows chewing slowly in the pasture, and the wind moving across the grass in soft waves. She watched a butterfly land delicately on a blade of grass and felt her tension begin to melt away. The city, with its constant rush and noise, seemed far away, replaced by a slower, gentler rhythm. After a while, Mr. Harris returned again, this time with another bucket, filled with feed for the chickens. "Why don't you help me scatter this?" he suggested. Emily stood up carefully, brushing herself off, and followed him. As they moved around the barnyard, Emily noticed something she hadn't seen before, a small, carefully made nest near the corner of the barn. She knelt down to look, and her eyes widened. Inside the nest were tiny, fluffy shapes, little yellow chicks, huddled together and sleeping. She gasped softly, her curiosity finally finding a clue. "Oh," she whispered, turning to Mr. Harris. "Are those baby chickens?" "They are," he said, smiling. "They're very young, just hatched a few days ago. They need warmth and care, which is why I have them under that tarp. It's their little safe space. Emily felt a mixture of surprise and delight. "So I've been sitting on them?" she asked, a little unsure if she should be horrified or amazed. "Mr. Paris laughed gently. "Not on them," he said. "I made sure there was straw and soft padding. They feel your warmth through the layers, and it actually helps them stay calm. You've been helping them without even knowing it."
Emily's eyes grew wide.
"I didn't realize," she said softly. She had been nervous and unsure at first, but now she felt proud. She had unknowingly taken part in something important, something delicate. "Mr." Harris gestured for her to come closer. "Sit down again," he said. "This time you can see them properly." Emily hesitated for a moment, but then carefully lowered herself onto the tarp once more. This time she could see clearly. A dozen tiny chicks, their soft yellow feathers glowing in the sunlight, huddled together in a perfect circle. They chirped softly as they felt her presence, but they didn't scatter or panic. Emily felt an unexpected warmth in her chest. She had never experienced anything like this before. "They're so small," she whispered.
And so fragile they are, Mr. Harris agreed.
"But they're also strong. With care and patience, they grow." "You see, Emily, taking care of something doesn't always mean doing big things. Sometimes it's about being present, being still, and giving comfort without even realizing it." Emily nodded, feeling the truth of his words. She shifted slightly, careful not to disturb the chicks, and watched them closely. Their tiny beaks nibbled at the straw, their soft bodies huddled together for warmth, and Emily felt a sense of calm she hadn't known she needed. For the next hour, she simply sat there, observing. The rancher moved around tending to other tasks, but he left her alone, allowing her to immerse herself in the moment. She felt the warmth of the sun on her face, the gentle rustling of the wind in the grass, and the soft rhythmic chirping of the chicks. It was a world so different from her own, yet she felt completely at home in it. As she sat, Emily began to notice details she hadn't before. The way the chicks' tiny wings twitched as they adjusted their position. The subtle differences in their chirps, each one unique. The soft, downy feathers that made them feel almost unreal in their delicacy. Every movement was a lesson in care and attention, a reminder that life often depended on patience and gentleness. She also began to reflect on her own life. The constant rush of deadlines, the endless noise of the city, the pressure to always be productive, it all seemed so unnecessary here. Sitting quietly, simply observing, she realized she had been missing so much. The small joys, the little miracles, the beauty and simplicity, they were all around her, if only she took the time to notice. Mr. Harris returned again, this time bringing a small bottle of water. "The chicks need to stay hydrated," he explained. "And sometimes a little demonstration helps visitors understand what care really means." He carefully poured tiny drops into a shallow dish, and Emily watched as the chicks drank eagerly, their small beaks dipping into the water. "They're amazing," she whispered. "I didn't expect this, not in a million years."
"Mister!"
Harris nodded. "That's the thing about life on a ranch, or life in general. The best things often come when you least expect them. Sometimes you have to trust the process and be patient. And sometimes you just have to sit quietly and let things reveal themselves."
Emily smiled, feeling a sense of gratitude toward the rancher she hadn't felt before.
He had been patient with her, gentle and wise. He hadn't rushed her or made her feel foolish for not knowing how to interact with the animals. Instead, he had taught her a lesson in the most natural way possible, through experience, observation, and trust. As the afternoon wore on, Emily found herself growing more comfortable around the chicks. She began to gently touch the straw around them, careful not to disturb them, and learned to notice subtle cues about their behavior. She realized that even small movements, small actions, could make a difference. At one point, a chick wandered slightly from the group, chirping softly. Emily instinctively reached out a hand, and the tiny creature wobbled into her palm. She felt its tiny heartbeat against her skin, delicate and rapid, and a wave of awe washed over her. It was a moment of connection she would never forget.
See?
Mr. Harris said, standing nearby.
You're learning fast. You're not just observing. You're participating.
That's the key. Life is full of little lessons, if you're willing to notice them.
Emily nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. She had started the day nervous, unsure, and slightly afraid of this unfamiliar place.
Now she felt connected, not just to the ranch or the animals, or even Mr. Harris, but to the simple rhythms of life itself. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the fields. Emily finally stood, stretching her legs, and felt a sense of accomplishment. She had learned patience, care, and trust, all without realizing she was learning. And she had discovered something she would carry with her forever: the power of stillness, presence, and gentle attention. As she prepared to leave the tarp and the chicks behind for a moment, she looked at Mr. Harris with a smile. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "I didn't expect today to be like this. I've learned so much just by sitting here." The rancher tipped his hat again, his eyes twinkling. "Sometimes, Emily," he said softly, "the best lessons in life come when you least expect them, and from the smallest teachers." Emily smiled, looking down at the tiny chicks once more before standing fully. She knew that tomorrow would bring more tasks, more discoveries, and perhaps even more surprises. But for now, she carried with her a quiet joy and a deep sense of connection. The ranch, with its gentle rhythm, unexpected lessons, and hidden wonders, had already begun to change her. And she knew that the secret of the tarp and the creatures beneath it was only the beginning. Emily felt a quiet excitement as she returned to the tarp the next morning. The sun was just rising, painting the fields with soft golden light. Everything about the ranch seemed to sparkle in this gentle dawn. The grass, the wooden fences, and even the barn itself. Emily took a deep breath, inhaling the fresh, earthy scent of the morning. She felt calm, almost as if the ranch had wrapped her in a soft, protective blanket. When she approached the tarp, she noticed the chicks beginning to stir. Their tiny chirps filled the air, delicate and sweet. They moved slowly, huddled together, still half asleep and trusting the world around them. Emily smiled, kneeling gently beside the tarp. She could feel the warmth radiating from the soft hay beneath her, and even before touching them, she felt a sense of connection. "Good morning, little ones," she whispered softly, her voice gentle so as not to startle them. A few of the chicks tilted their tiny heads, recognizing her presence. Emily felt a thrill run through her. This was the first time she had ever connected with living creatures in such a direct and quiet way. Mr. Harris walked up, his slow steps on the soft ground making no sudden noise. "Morning, Emily," he said warmly. "Looks like you've made some friends already." Emily nodded, her eyes still on the chicks.
They're amazing,
she said. "I didn't know something so small could make you feel so connected." "That's life," Mr. Harris said, sitting down beside her. "It teaches us in ways we don't expect. Sometimes the smallest creatures show us the biggest lessons." Emily watched as one chick, braver than the rest, ventured out of the circle. It stumbled slightly, its tiny feet struggling to find balance on the straw. Emily instinctively reached out a hand. The chick paused, peeped softly, and then waddled into her palm. She could feel its tiny heartbeat, rapid and fragile, and a wave of awe and tenderness washed over her. "See, Mr." Harris said softly. "Patience and gentleness go a long way. You don't have to force them or hurry them. You just have to be present." Emily carefully placed the chick back with the others, marveling at how instinctively it returned to its group. She realized that this simple act, sitting quietly, letting them feel safe, and offering gentle care, had earned their trust. In the city, people rarely relied on gentleness alone. Everything was about speed, results, and efficiency. Here she learned that trust was built slowly, through consistent, quiet care. The morning passed in a rhythm of soft movements and careful observation. Emily learned to notice subtle signs from the chicks, the way their little heads tilted when they were curious, the way their feathers fluffed when they felt cold, the gentle peeping that signaled contentment. She began to understand that every living being communicated in its own way, and that true patience meant paying attention to these small, often overlooked signals. At one point, Mr. Harris brought over a shallow tray with some water and a few grains of food. "Watch how they respond," he said. "Give them a moment and see what happens." Emily carefully placed the tray near the chicks. At first, they didn't move, seemingly cautious. Then, slowly, the first chick stepped forward, pecking gently at the grains. Soon the others followed, taking tiny, careful sips of water. Emily smiled, marveling at how a little patience could guide them without any need for force or command.
This is amazing, Emily whispered.
"I never realized that even the smallest creatures could teach so much." Mr. Harris nodded. "It's the same with people," he said. "Some of the most important lessons come from the quiet, gentle moments. The ones where you just watch, wait, and care, without expecting anything in return." Emily thought about her life back in the city. She thought about her rushed mornings, endless deadlines, and the constant feeling that she was always behind. Here she saw the value of slowing down, of paying attention to the little things, of nurturing without rushing. It was a lesson she hadn't expected to learn from a group of tiny chicks, yet it felt profound. As the day went on, Emily became more confident in handling the chicks. She learned to pick them up gently, cradle them in her hands, and even move them carefully if needed. Each movement required mindfulness, as even a slight shake could startle them. She laughed softly at how fragile and delicate they were, and yet, how resilient and full of life. "You're learning fast, Mr. Call," Harris said, smiling. "Not just about caring for animals, but about understanding life itself. Patience, presence, gentleness. They're lessons most people forget in their busy lives."
Emily felt a deep sense of satisfaction.
She had started this visit feeling nervous, unsure, and slightly out of place. Now she felt capable, confident, and surprisingly connected to the world around her. She realized that sometimes learning wasn't about doing big, dramatic things. It was about small, consistent acts of care, performed with attention and love. Later in the afternoon, the rancher brought out a small brush. "We'll clean them a little," he explained. "It's important to keep them comfortable and healthy." Emily watched as Mr. Bowsmitham. Harris demonstrated, gently brushing the downy feathers of a chick. Then he handed her the brush. "Your turn," he said. Her hand shook slightly as she approached the chicks, careful not to scare them. She brushed one gently, feeling the soft fluff beneath her fingers. The chick chirped contentedly, and Emily laughed softly. "They're so trusting," she whispered. "It feels like they know I won't hurt them." "That's exactly it, Mr. Elaine," Harris said. "Trust is earned through calmness and care. You've given them that without even realizing it." Emily continued brushing the chicks one by one, until all of them were comfortable and calm. She felt a quiet pride swell in her chest. This wasn't about achievement or recognition. It was about presence, connection, and kindness. For the first time in a long while, she felt completely at peace with herself. As the sun began to lower in the sky, casting a warm glow across the ranch, Emily took a step back and observed everything she had learned. She had discovered the value of quiet attention, the importance of gentle care, and the beauty of patience. She had also discovered something deeper, that the world, when observed carefully, was full of small wonders waiting to be noticed. The rancher approached her, carrying the bucket of feed one last time. "You've done well today," he said warmly. "Not just with the chicks, but with yourself. You've learned to slow down, to notice, to connect. That's something most people never learn." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of gratitude she could hardly put into words. "Thank you," she said softly. "I didn't expect today to teach me so much. I thought I'd just be helping with chores, but I've learned more than I ever imagined." "That's the ranch for you," Mr. Harris said with a twinkle in his eye. "Life is full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest things teach the biggest lessons. Remember, Emily, the key is always patience, presence, and care. Never underestimate them." As Emily prepared to leave the tarp and the chicks for the evening, she glanced down at the little creatures once more. They had become more than animals to her. They were teachers, guides, and gentle reminders of what mattered most. She felt a quiet joy and a sense of purpose she hadn't experienced before. Walking back toward the house, Emily felt different. She felt lighter, calmer, and more aware of the small details around her. The chirping of the chicks, the rustling of the grass, the warmth of the sun on her skin, they all felt alive in a way she had never noticed in the city. She realized that her time on the ranch was more than a simple visit. It was a lesson in life itself. That night, as Emily lay in bed, she thought about the day's experiences. She remembered the tiny chicks huddled together, the soft warmth of the tarp, the gentle guidance of Mr. Neil Harris, and the feeling of being present in a world that often moved too fast. She understood, in a quiet, profound way, that life was not about rushing or controlling every moment. It was about patience, observation, and care. Lessons that could be found even in the smallest and most unexpected places. And with that thought, Emily drifted off to sleep, her heart full, her mind at peace, and her spirit ready for the discoveries that tomorrow on the ranch would surely bring. The next morning, Emily woke up to the soft light of dawn filtering through the windows of the ranch house. Birds chirped outside, greeting the new day, and the smell of fresh hay drifted in from the barn. She stretched and felt a quiet excitement bubbling inside her. After the lessons of the previous day, she felt ready to see what else the ranch had to teach her. After a simple breakfast, Emily followed Mr. Harris out to the barn. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of earth and animals. Everything felt alive, from the gentle sway of the trees to the soft murmur of the chickens and the lowing of the cows. Emily noticed how every sound, every movement, seemed to fit together perfectly. The ranch had a rhythm, and she was starting to understand it. "Today we'll do something a little different, Mr. Bonnet," Harris said with a smile. "You've learned to care for the chicks, and that's important. But there's more to life on a ranch than just one task. It's about understanding the world around you and learning patience in all its forms." Emily followed him quietly, her curiosity piqued. They walked past the chicken coop and over to a small pasture where a few horses were grazing. The animals looked calm and content, moving slowly and deliberately. Mr. Harris gestured for Emily to approach one of the horses. "This is Daisy," he said. "She's gentle, but she's sensitive. Horses respond to energy and intention, so you'll need to be calm and patient with her." Emily hesitated. She had never been close to a horse before. They were large, powerful creatures, and she wasn't sure how to interact with one without scaring it, or herself. But she remembered the lessons from the chicks: patience, gentleness, and presence. Taking a deep breath, she approached Daisy slowly. At first, Daisy watched her carefully, her ears twitching. Emily extended a hand, letting the horse sniff it. Daisy's warm nose touched her fingers, and Emily felt a rush of amazement. She smiled, stroking the horse's mane gently, careful to move slowly and deliberately. "See, mister?" Harris said softly. "Trust is built with patience. You earned it yesterday with the chicks, and you can do the same with Daisy." Emily nodded, feeling a quiet pride. She spent the next hour with the horse, learning to move in ways that made Daisy comfortable, noticing subtle signals like a flick of her ear or the way she shifted her weight. It was a new kind of lesson, similar to the one she had learned with the chicks, but bigger, more powerful, and more profound. By the time she stepped back, Emily felt a deep sense of connection, not just with the animals, but with herself. She realized that her own life had been moving too fast, always reacting, never noticing, never connecting. Here, she saw the value of slowing down, of observing carefully, and of letting relationships, whether with animals or people, grow naturally. After her time with Daisy, Mr. Harris led Emily to a small field near the edge of the ranch. There, a few baby goats played together, leaping and tumbling in the soft grass. Their energy was contagious, and Emily laughed quietly as she watched them. One of the goats wandered over to her, bleating softly. Emily knelt down, letting it sniff her hands, and then gently petted its soft coat. "Animals teach us so much, Mr. Ferbert," Harris said, watching her. "They respond to calmness and care. but they also show us joy. See how the little goat moves? It's pure happiness. You don't need anything fancy, just the courage to be present and gentle. Emily watched the goats for a while, realizing that joy could be found in small things. The way the baby goats played, the way Daisy responded to gentle touches, the way the chicks had trusted her. They all carried lessons. Life wasn't about rushing, controlling, or forcing results. It was about noticing, caring, and being fully present in the moment. As the morning passed, Emily helped Mr. Harris with feeding the animals and cleaning some areas of the barn. She noticed how every task required attention, even if it seemed small. Moving a bucket of water slowly so the animals weren't startled, scattering feed carefully so nothing was wasted, adjusting hay so it stayed clean. Each small action mattered. She realized that life too was full of small actions that could create big differences if done with care. During a brief break, Emily sat on a wooden bench near the barn, watching the sunlight filter through the trees. She thought about her life back in the city, the constant noise, the pressure to perform, the feeling of always being behind. Here she felt calm, connected, and present. She realized that she had been chasing things that didn't matter as much as she thought, while missing the beauty of the world around her. Mr. Harris sat beside her, handing her a bottle of water. "You've done well," he said. "Not just with the animals, but with yourself. You're learning to slow down and notice the little things. That's something most people never learn." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of gratitude. "I think I understand now," she said softly. "It's not just about taking care of the animals. It's about taking care of yourself too. Being patient, noticing, and connecting with the world around you." "That's exactly it, Mr. Diaperd," Harris said. "Life teaches us in ways we don't always expect. Sometimes the lessons come from animals, sometimes from people, and sometimes from simple moments of observation. But the key is always patience, presence, and care." After the break, Mr. Harris invited Emily to help with a new task. He led her to a small pen where a mother hen was sitting on her nest. "She's about to hatch her chicks," he explained. "You can help her stay calm. It's all about being quiet, gentle, and patient." Emily knelt beside the hen, careful not to startle her. She watched as the hen shifted slightly, settled back, and clucked softly. Emily's hands hovered nearby, ready to assist if needed, but mostly she stayed still, letting the hen feel safe. Minutes passed, and Emily felt a deep sense of calm wash over her. She realized that her presence alone could provide comfort and reassurance, even without action. "This is a good lesson, Mr. Ghislaine Niels," Harris said quietly. "Sometimes being there is enough. You don't need to fix everything. Your calm presence can make a bigger difference than you think." Emily nodded, feeling the truth of his words. She thought about her own life, how often she had rushed, tried to control everything, and worried about outcomes. Here she saw that patience and presence were more powerful than constant action. She began to understand that the world, like the animals on the ranch, responded best to quiet care and gentle guidance. As the day went on, Emily continued to move between tasks, observing and helping wherever she could. She noticed how each animal had its own personality, how the chicks chirped differently from the goats, how the horses responded to different energies, and how small actions created comfort and trust. She began to see patterns, rhythms, and lessons that applied not just to ranch life, but to life in general. By late afternoon, Emily sat once more on the tarp, now fully aware of the chicks beneath her. She watched them move, play, and settle together, feeling a deep sense of connection. The sun cast a warm glow over the barn and fields, and Emily realized that this quiet day had taught her more than any book, lecture, or city experience ever could. "Thank you," she said softly to Mr. Harris, who was standing nearby. "I feel like I've learned more today than I could have imagined. Not just about animals, but about life." Mr. Rave. Harris smiled, his eyes twinkling. "That's the ranch for you. It teaches lessons in patience, observation, and care. It reminds us that the world doesn't always move as fast as we do, and that sometimes the most important things are the smallest and simplest." Emily stayed on the tarp for a while longer, letting the warmth of the sun and the gentle presence of the chicks fill her heart. She reflected on everything she had learned, the importance of slowing down, the value of gentle care, the power of trust and presence. She realized that these lessons were not just for the ranch, but for her life beyond it. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emily felt a quiet joy and a deep sense of understanding. The ranch, with its animals, its rhythm, and its quiet wisdom, had shown her something profound, that life's true lessons often come when we are patient, attentive, and willing to connect with the world around us. And in that moment, sitting quietly among the chicks, Emily understood that she had discovered something far more valuable than she had expected. She had discovered the power of presence, patience, and care, and she knew that these lessons would stay with her. The next morning, Emily woke up with a strange feeling of anticipation. She wasn't sure what to expect, but she knew today would be different. The ranch had already taught her so much: patience, care, observation, but she had a sense that the most important lesson was still ahead. The sun was just peeking over the hills, casting a warm golden glow across the fields. Emily took a deep breath, letting the fresh air fill her lungs. It smelled like earth, hay, and possibility. After a simple breakfast, Emily followed Mr. Harris out to the barn. The morning was quiet, almost serene. Birds were singing, and a gentle breeze moved through the tall grass. The animals seemed to sense the calmness too. The horses grazed slowly, the goats tumbled playfully, and the chickens clucked softly. Emily felt at peace as she walked among them, noticing every small detail. Mr. Harris led her to the tarp where the chicks had been huddled. They were now slightly older, their soft yellow feathers beginning to show hints of white, and they moved more confidently, chirping softly as they explored. Emily knelt down beside them, letting them settle around her. She could feel the warmth and life of the tiny creatures beneath her hands. "You've done well, Emily," Mr. Harris said quietly. "You've learned to be present, patient, and gentle. But there's one more lesson for today." Emily looked up at him, curious. "What is it?" "Sometimes," he said, "the biggest lesson comes not from teaching, but from understanding. You've been caring for others, the chicks, the goats, the horse, but today, I want you to reflect on what all this means for you, for your own life." Emily nodded slowly. She realized that the ranch had already changed her. She felt calmer, more aware, and more connected to the world around her. She remembered her city life, the rushing, the constant noise, the endless deadlines. It all seemed distant and almost unimportant compared to the lessons she had learned here. Harris led her to a quiet spot near the pasture, under the shade of a large oak tree. The chicks followed her, chirping softly and exploring the grass around them. Emily sat down on the soft ground, feeling the cool earth beneath her hands, and let herself relax completely. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sounds and smells of the ranch fill her senses. When she opened her eyes, she noticed something she hadn't seen before: a small, clear stream winding through the field. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and she could see tiny fish moving beneath the surface. She felt a deep sense of wonder and peace. The ranch wasn't just a place to care for animals. It was a place to notice life itself, in all its small, beautiful details. Mr. Harris sat beside her, watching her quietly. "Emily," he said softly, "life is like this ranch. It has its rhythm, its lessons, and its moments of quiet beauty. The key is to notice them, to care for them, and to be patient. You've learned how to do that with the animals. Now, learn how to do it for yourself." Emily thought about his words. She realized that she had spent so much of her life rushing, always looking for the next thing, never appreciating the moment she was in. Here, with the chicks chirping around her, the goats playing nearby, and the gentle breeze moving through the trees, she understood what it meant to truly live in the present. She thought about the tiny chicks she had first sat on, unsure and nervous. She remembered their soft warmth, their trust, and the way they had responded to her gentle presence. She realized that she had learned a profound lesson, that care, patience, and presence could create trust, connection, and growth, not just for the animals, but for herself and the people around her. Emily stood up slowly and walked towards the pasture, feeling the soft grass beneath her feet. She watched Daisy, the horse, grazing peacefully, and the baby goats tumbling joyfully. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the simple lessons these animals had taught her. Each one had shown her something important: patience, joy, trust, and the beauty of being present. Mr. Harris approached her, holding a small basket. "There's one more thing," he said, smiling. "Something to remind you of today." He opened the basket, revealing a tiny chick. Its soft yellow feathers glowed in the sunlight. Emily's eyes widened in surprise and delight. "For me?" she whispered.
"Yes, Mr. Harris said. A reminder of what you've learned."
"Take it home with you, care for it, and remember the lessons of this place: patience, presence, and gentleness." Emily held the chick carefully in her hands, feeling its tiny heartbeat. She felt a wave of emotion: joy, gratitude, and a deep sense of connection. The small creature was a living reminder of the lessons she had learned on the ranch, lessons she knew would stay with her forever. As she looked around, Emily realized how much she had changed in just a few days. She had arrived nervous and unsure, overwhelmed by the unfamiliar world of the ranch. Now she felt calm, confident, and deeply aware of the small details that made life beautiful. She understood that the most important lessons were often quiet, subtle, and unexpected. She spent the rest of the morning with the animals, playing gently with the chicks, brushing Daisy's mane, and laughing as the baby goats tumbled around her. Every moment felt precious, filled with connection and meaning. She realized that she didn't need to rush, control, or force anything. Life, like the ranch, had its own rhythm, and she only needed to be present to understand it. When it was time to leave, Emily felt a bittersweet emotion. She didn't want to say goodbye to the ranch, the animals, or Mr. Harris, but she knew that she carried something far more valuable with her than memories. She carried the lessons of patience, presence, care, and trust, lessons that could guide her through the rest of her life. As she hugged Mr. Harris, she whispered, "Thank you for everything. I'll never forget this place or the lessons I've learned here." He smiled warmly. "Remember, Emily, the world is full of lessons if you're willing to notice them. Sometimes they come from the smallest creatures, sometimes from the quietest moments. Keep this in your heart, and you'll always find peace and joy." Emily walked to her car holding the tiny chick carefully. She looked back at the ranch one last time: the barn, the pastures, the animals playing in the sunlight. She felt a deep sense of gratitude and understanding. The ranch had taught her that life wasn't about rushing or controlling everything. It was about noticing the small details, caring for others, and being fully present in every moment. As she drove back toward the city, Emily felt different. She noticed the trees lining the road, the gentle sway of the grass in the wind, and the warm sunlight on her face. Everything seemed brighter, more alive, and full of possibility. She realized that she had been given a gift: the ability to see the world with new eyes, to find joy in the simple moments, and to approach life with patience and care. At home, Emily set up a small area for the chick, making it comfortable and safe. She watched it move, chirp, and explore, and she felt a profound sense of connection. The lessons of the ranch were no longer distant. They were alive, present, and a part of her everyday life. Over the next weeks, Emily carried the lessons with her in everything she did. She approached her work with more patience, her relationships with more understanding, and her life with more awareness. She noticed the small joys around her: the laughter of a friend, the scent of flowers in the air, the quiet moments of reflection, and she felt gratitude for each one. The tiny chick became a constant reminder of the ranch, of Mr. Harris, and of the lessons she had learned. Emily knew that life would continue to challenge her, as it always did, but she now had a new perspective. She understood the power of presence, the importance of patience, and the value of gentle care. She knew that these lessons, learned in a quiet corner of a ranch surrounded by animals, would guide her for the rest of her life. And sometimes when she sat quietly with the chick in her hands, she remembered the words of Mr. Harris. "Just sit, don't worry, and notice the world. The lessons are always there, waiting for you." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of peace she had never known before. She had discovered something far more important than she had expected, not just about caring for animals, but about caring for herself, for life, and for the beauty that exists in every small, quiet moment. She realized that true happiness wasn't something you rushed to find. It was something you discovered when you slowed down, observed, and trusted the gentle rhythms of life. And in that moment, holding the tiny soft chick, Emily knew that she had finally understood the most important lesson of all.